Hello there, Twitch chat. Welcome back to the ASUS ROG DreamLeague Season 3 coverage with myself and Draskell. We're ready to get ourselves into the second series of the day between Vega Squadron and Team Empire. So let's get ourselves into the draft as it is well underway. And so far, pretty much what we were talking about in the first series, how both teams should react. We're seeing the Beastmaster banned out by Vega. And Empire, they ban out the DK. One of the heroes that we've seen Vega have really good success with, at least in the few games that they've been in this patch. Gyrocopter first pick for Empire, and with the Visage as well. Very nice aggression that's going to be potentially had, but at the same time, Vega, they're going to Quap an Undying. So I'm liking drafts from both sides so far.
Empire actually opened in a really intelligent way. Since I knew they didn't have first pick, I think Undying and Beastmaster are the two that you want to ban the most. And as 8mother mentioned on the couch, when you play against Beastmaster, he's good against a lot of different things. Undying is very one-dimensional in his gameplay. So you ban the hero that's harder to deal with in general, and then you first pick a hero who counters the other first pick quality hero, right? So then it's like, do we really want to pick Undying? And Vega took a long time for their first two picks. Like, we didn't see it on screen because they were still talking before we got in game, but they spent like a good minute and 15 seconds or so, like trying to figure out how they wanted to open after that, and they opted for the Queen Undying still. So Vega is still favoring Undying highly, even with the flat cannon of Gyro. And Visage even is great at killing Tombstone, as long as you're able to focus the familiars on it. So them taking 4 hits now to kill also means that the birds will be more durable in the team fights. So yeah, still great opening from both teams. Looking forward to the series.
Yeah, it should be a very exciting one. And Enchantress ban, there's going to be the Drow ban. Obviously understandable whenever Visage is in the game. And we do see Empire. They are one of the teams that do like to run the odd Visage Drow. And Vengeful Spirit combination. Venge is still up in the pool. And I'm kind of feeling that maybe Team Empire might opt the Vengeful this game if they can get their hands on it with the Visage, or not necessarily.
It is possible. It is possible. But with Beastmaster being banned out, there's not really anything you want to swap for right now. Like normally you want swap against like a Beastmaster Roar or a heavy disable. That means like you want to save a higher position hero like a mid or a safe lane player, right? But there's nothing really that leads to that. The minus armor on Medallion and having Howl too is also great synergy with Visage in general, so they might just pick it because of that factor alone. And just the base damage increase, of course, on top of that is really nice. And now Vega, it is their third pick right now. After having seen Queen and Undying, Empire are going to have a pretty good idea of what the lanes are going to be looking like. We have seldom seen an Undying go anywhere but aggressive, right? Yes. Like you don't pick Undying to have a laning phase where you're not trying to get an advantage. So I'm guessing that Vega are going to want to try to do that, which is also another reason why I feel like Team Empire didn't want to first pick Undying. Because as soon as you pick Undying, it's like, they're going to go aggro. Yeah, you know, that's what they want to do.
And I mean, so far as well, with the Gyro and the Visage, it's very likely that that could be part of an aggro composition as well for the side of Empire.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Vega, though, going to take Rubik. And man, these teams are loving Rubik today.
They
and
are.
I really...
What's up with that?
I do think it's because of the prevalence of Gyro and other heroes like Undying and Beastmaster, who are so self-sufficient at being able to find their own kills and just add so much presence to the fight, that a hero like Rubik, who normally isn't able to shine unless he has another great support with him or high-impact heroes, so many of those high-impact heroes in the early game are now being picked that it's okay to pick a hero who blossoms maybe a little bit later into the game. So I do like the fact that Rubik's being seen more. He's like one of my favorite supports to watch.
Yeah, he's always entertaining to see, especially when we see, it was Empire, wasn't it, stealing all the ultimates in the first series today.
Aloha Dan stealing Witch Doctor ulti and 2, well, Witch Doctor ulti isn't so hard to steal. No. But he stole 2 Zeus ultis back to back. Yeah, it was very cool.
Got to be in the right place, right time indeed for that. And third pick now for Empire. Maybe going to clarify a little bit what they want to do. The Shadow Demon's still in the pool. As a hero we do see sometimes run with the Gyrocopter, and arguably a hero that you can use on the aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
also the Bane as well.
Yeah, Bane is... I don't know if Bane's quite as good against Undying, though. He doesn't really have a method to kill Tombstone, and I think that's going to be the big emphasis here for Team Empire is can they get more heroes that deal with the Undying, because that's the one who just like demands your attention. It's kind of like a Brood in a way. It's like if you don't pick a lot of counters to this hero, he will run rampant over your team composition, similar to what we saw the Undying do in the previous series. But they're going to go with Ogre. Hero is very hard to kill, so that in a way is good against Tombstone. As in, you have high base armor, you have very high health, and you walk in, and even if you drop a Tombstone, you can sit there and whack at it. Plus, Bloodlust on a Gyro isn't bad either.
No, absolutely, yeah, one of those heroes that's going to really provide a huge buff to the Gyro. And now with the Ogre, if it's going to be an Ogre Visage Gyro tri-lane, does that kind of lend itself more to the aggressive than the defensive in your eyes, or could
I think it's just one of those lanes where you go defensive, but you expect Vega to go aggro.
Okay.
In a way, like depending on what the core they pick, it will be more apparent what Vega want to do. They might see this defensive lane of Ogre, Visage, and Gyro and say, maybe contesting this isn't the best option, because right now Rubik as a support in an aggro tri-lane, maybe not the best choice, so maybe they want to go with like a 2-1-2. Maybe they pick up Phoenix or something like that, because Beastmaster's not in the pool, Storm is taken out, Drow is taken out. That's a lot of silence, it's a lot of control, and Phoenix would also do a lot of work against this lineup. They're going to go for Wind Ranger, so they have the two high position heroes. They have Queen and Wind Ranger, so I'm guessing that's going to be farming Wind Ranger. And then they're going to last pick the off lane.
It could be. I mean, they do. The side of Vega, they actually run the Quap, at least in the last about 15 games, more often than not in the solo lane role, rather than the mid lane with Mag playing it.
Well, no matter what, she'll be a solo, right? Like she'll either be mid or she'll be off lane.
Yes, yeah. But with Mag potentially playing it, then it could look to lend itself towards a Wind Ranger in the mid lane, which is, if that's the case, I mean, Empire obviously still yet to really pick up their mid laner themselves. Is there anyone that's still in the pool that you feel could be very strong and with the kind of aggression and this style that Empire like to play with?
I mean, DK is banned, Shadow Fiend is banned, Storm is banned, Beastmaster is banned. There are a ton of heroes, I think, that Resolution want to be able to get his hands on in this case, and they might even go for something like Magnus, maybe team fight.
What about the Zeus? Zeus is still available.
Yeah, Zeus is also very good, just because of sheer damage output, being able to D-push. Oh, Viper, okay. Hero we actually kind of spitballed a little bit about earlier, thinking maybe he might come back, just because he's very good at being a nuisance in mid-game. Like, trying to lane up against him is very tough, even for heroes like Queen and Wind Ranger. You don't really want to try to harass at all, like when you get like 2 or 3 points into the corrosive skin. So now they got their potential mech carrier. Maybe we'll even get to see Guardian Greaves for the first time. I don't think I've seen a single person make them yet. But it's a very big investment.
It is a lot of money. I mean, well, the recipe itself is about
like
1650 gold on top of the mech. But as you said, once you've got it, I mean, good luck trying to fight into a team with Guardian Greaves on themselves at a reasonable amount of time. The fact that it's got that extra HP and armor, that low kind of crossover point, and the fact that it's also, it doesn't cost any mana to use compared to the mech, which relatively is quite expensive to put the mechanism.
For some heroes
like Viper.
Yeah, for some heroes it is. For Viper, until he gets at least a casual point booster, the mana investment is massive, and you get to a point where you won't even be able to use your poison attack anymore. You'll just be sitting there like regular auto attack and just bloop, bloop, and it's not very impressive when you can't slow. We'll see though what Empire ban here. I really think that Vega want Phoenix. I really do. Like, look at their bans.
And if they picked up a Phoenix, how would you kind of expect them to lane it? Do it as dual lanes?
Yeah, I think they would dual lane if they were going to pick Phoenix. They would have to. They wouldn't be able to put a tri-lane together. But I wonder if they think dual lanes is too weak against Gyro Visage Ogre. Because it is pretty scary. Like, even for a dual lane with Undying, they have the magic damage to burst you down, and you might not be able to commit hard enough to be able to get a kill. But you might be able to live, if that makes sense. Like, you could probably live in Soki XP with those two heroes.
Well, with the time ticking down, now Vega here with the final pick, and indeed they are looking for this third core for the side. 5 seconds. Also going to be anything surprising? Are we going to see that Phoenix Hands Drasko and participate? Is going to be the Weaver.
Another hero who gets hard countered by their 4 bans. Like the Beastmaster, Drow, Storm, Puck all own Weaver. Pretty hard.
Welcome to 6.84, Andy.
That's some push right there. That is some pretty good push.
So, yeah, indeed, with Ivan on the Lone Druid, and it's going to be Pasha on the Weaver. So it is going to be your farming Weaver, your mid lane Wind Ranger, and your solo lane Quap. So, position 1 Weaver making a comeback.
It's something that we haven't seen in a very long time. They did just recently buff him again a little bit. Like, they made the Swarm, I think, a tiny bit better. Geminate now is used at the point of attack rather than waiting for the Geminate hit to actually land before the second one goes off, which is still a buff.
Yes.
It just means the damage is dealt faster when the Geminate is off cooldown. But they also nerf the cooldown by half a second at every single level. So I guess in a way it's a buff and a nerf. But situational, I guess. It could be better.
It's going to be interesting in the world to see if we do see, of course, the Weaver Aghanims come into play. Now, if you're putting the Weaver in the position 1 role, would you be kind of surprised if the Axe was picked up?
Yeah, there's nothing really on the side of Empire where I'm like, oh, I want to get time lapse.
Yeah, not like a Laguna or a Finger.
Right. You want it to either regain a significant amount of health when you time lapse, or you want to put somebody back into a good position. So if there was a Blink Initiator on the side of Empire, I'd say Aghanims might be an option. So if they had like a Beastmaster Roar or like an offensive swap or a Clockwork Hook, then yeah, it would be fantastic. But for this game, I think we're probably going to be seeing some kind of hard carry build.
All right, and indeed, here we are in the first game of the second series of the day, Empire versus Team Vega Squadron. And it's myself, ODPixel, and Draskell, and let's have a look what we've got going down on both sides. So on the side of Vega, it is going to be 9 Pasha on that position 1 Weaver. Seema the Slayer on the support Rubik, Mag on what we can imagine to be the solo lane Quap, unless they do decide to dual lane it. Wind Ranger will be in the mid lane, played by no one. And finally, of course, that leaves Undying to be played by Solo. Draskell, what are we seeing from the Radiant?
Well, so far we're going to have Avan here. He's going to be playing on the Lone Druid. We're going to have Always Want to Fly. He's playing Visage. Next to him is Silent on the Gyrocopter. Aloha Dance. He's going to be handling the Ogre Magi.
The battle begins.
And Lift here on Silent. Oh, he'll be fine. We missed one. We missed one. Yep. Resolution. He's the last, certainly not least. He's on the Viper.
Indeed. Well, nice little start there for Empire, picking themselves up both bounty runes on both cores. And looks like both teams trying to pretty much respect the lanes of each other and react to them, indeed. And it looks like in terms of lanes, at least for the die, they're going to settle on putting the Weaver and the Rubik top and indeed kind of run this dual lane situation, which is where you've got this Mag, the Mag on the Quap and Solo on the Undying. So the classic Mag Solo off lane that we do see Vega like to run sometimes.
It is a really powerful lane in general. Like Undying, his strength is being able to effectively zone out supports. Like that's the best thing that he can do. Now it's going to be a bit more difficult for him, I think, in this game, just because of the high damage potential that Silent has. So he's actually killable. Whereas a lot of those lanes, like if you compare it to the Rubik Skywrath support, they take a long time to kill the Undying, which is great for him because it allows his decay to come off cooldown again. If he hits like 2 or 3 heroes, he can gain up to 100 health by just decaying once, which is a ton of damage for those low DPS supports. But against a Gyro, 100 HP is like nothing. He can burn through that with a Rocket Barrage or 2, and there is very good chance that Solo could die here. So I don't think that this lane will be very aggressive in nature unless they find a good opportunity, or maybe they pull and they have an opportunity to isolate the supports. But otherwise, I think they're just going to be trying to soak some EXP, farm under the tower.
Okay, so the bottom lane, as you're saying, by the sounds of it, favoring the side of Empire. Now towards the mid lane, you've got this Wind Ranger versus a Viper. Now, is anyone going to clearly come out on top here?
Well, it's going to be a farm fest. The Wind Ranger, you can harass with Power Shot. It's not too bad against Viper until he starts getting some points in a Corrosive, and Solo here could be going down.
Indeed, yeah, with the slow and now with the stun from Ogre, the final punch there, finding first blood here for Aloha Dance, and just looked like Undying got a little bit too excited when he managed to get that 2-man decay there. And there wasn't just a follow-up at all. First blood to the side of Empire. So indeed that lane going very well in the mid lane. No one slightly leading by CS and being able to harass Resolution back. And finally, of course, on this top lane, we've got the Lone Druid Solo off lane coming out from the side of Empire with Ivan on it. And he's up against this dual lane of the Rubik and the Weaver. So, I mean, in your eyes, another farm fest for both sides, or are they going to be able to punish the LD?
You could potentially tower dive the Lone Druid if he gets too far out of position, but I doubt that Ivan's going to give him that opportunity. I think it's just going to be mostly him like sending the bear back and forth between base, because that thing is looking pretty beat up right now. In fact, he's going to send it back right this second, but I think the top lane will be a little bit of a struggle. He'll probably get some EXP and a little bit of gold out of it, but for the early laning phase, I think Empire are probably going to trade even in 2 lanes and win their safe lane.
Okay, so things certainly sounding good for the old side of Empire. And I mean, Vega's lineup with heroes like the Weaver, are they going to be very, very globally active, or can we expect the rest of the side of Vega to look for action to kind of pull the attention away from 9 Pasha on the Weaver?
Oh, they want to fight. Like, Weaver can contribute a lot in the early game fights. I think a lot of people have this misconception about Weaver and thinking that he needs items. It's actually totally false. You can fight with just like treads and a wand and even a bottle. I love getting bottle on Weaver just because he's so fast. You can get rune control. You pick up like a good DD or even like a haste or something, and you can turn fights so easily. And he's great against heroes like Gyro because they don't have the hard lockdown to keep you in place. It's like just a stun from the Ogre, and that's it. So you can get in and out of Rocket Barrage range and call down range. You just outmaneuver the opponent. And yeah, the damage is real. from this lane.
Soul Assumption coming through, bringing him down to 13 HP there. Really playing on the edge of his seat. But in terms of CS as well, so far mid lane, Viper starting to get a little bit of a lead and being able to out-deny the Wind Ranger as well. And of course, in terms of your position ones, the Gyro on 16 for 3. Compared to the Weaver though, Weaver with a slight edge, having a little bit of an easier lane, but I guess that can be expected when Weaver's only up against an LD, when the Gyro is having to deal with an Undying and a Quap. Comparatively,
like having a solo Lone Druid up here, having more CS than the Queen Undying dual off lane, for the hero investment, like I guess it's even in general, but the fact that the Lone Druid is able to get so much out of his lane is why I feel like Empire are at least trading a little bit evenly in the top, where a lot of offlaners would just get hard zoned by this. Like Weaver is very difficult for an offlaner to lane against, unless you're like maybe Clock, for example, and that's only in a 1v1, because you can just go for cog spam when he tries to harass. But in a 1v2, you would just be murdered. So Lone Druid's still getting quite a bit from this offlane.
I mean, the offlane for Vega, obviously in the first series we saw Empire with the Undying finding a lot of action very early on. You know, we're getting double kills in the first 5 minutes. This game, the Undying hasn't seemed to be able to do that much. I mean, is that something that Vega need to worry about?
Well, it's not necessarily the Undying himself needs to do a lot. It's just contending the lane a little bit helps. Just stopping the Gyro from getting maybe total free farm, which I'm not sure if they're even doing. Like, he's actually still pretty much just free farming, so maybe it is a slight point of concern. But between the two heroes that are farming on each side, like the Wind Ranger and the Weaver, and then the Gyro and the Viper, everything is about equal. So I don't think it's too heavily favored either way.
These 5.5 minutes in, and what with the headdress on your Viper? Looks like he certainly will be working towards that mech after the Aquila and boots. He's got himself a stick coming out as well. And so if he's going for the mech, do you feel that there's any reason not to go for the Guardian Greaves? Like, does the Viper need the phase or treads, or can he afford to, you know, just forfeit that slot and finish up the mech boots?
Having Guardian Greaves is great, but like we talked about before, it's a huge investment. So if you buy a mech, for example, it's 2,300 gold, basically. And then if you want to make your way towards Aghanims, if you decided to get Guardian Greaves on the way to it, it would delay your Aghanims by like 50% of the time.
Mid-lane, there's a wraparound from Aloha Dots with the Viper Strike coming in with the burn and the poison damage. He's going to try and TP out with the Windrun, but he's not going to make it. The poison just enough to bring him down. And
that was such a good idea, though.
Very nice rotation.
He actually teleported in the fade time of Invis, so they couldn't even see him after the fact, and he even got another battle charge off before he TP'd. So he actually played that as perfectly as you could have asked, and he still couldn't get away. That was actually, even though he died, it was still impressive that he had the presence of mind to do all that and that fast of reaction, you know? Like, a lot of players would have just either saved the invis or panicked, but he actually almost lived. He only died by like maybe a couple of tenths of a second.
It was very close. I think he even managed to get the TP animation off. It was just the poison ticking through. Indeed, before the Fountain regen could get there to help him. I mean, the Weaver, you're talking about it, the fact that the control there from Empire is not too fantastic, is it? I mean, in terms of keeping the controls on this Weaver, it's going to be hard in these fights.
Well, the one downfall of the Weaver in this game is Empire have a Lone Druid, which means that they always have the potential to walk up to your towers and just start pushing in a lot. Vega have a decent amount of push, so they have like Power Shot, Fade Bolt, they got some Queen Screams and Weaver Shikuchi, but in terms of 5v5, Weaver isn't really built for that kind of thing until he gets like 1 or 2 items. That's the problem that he suffers from. It's like the bounty hunter syndrome. You can do a lot if the team is separated, but if they start 5-manning down a lane, your hero feels extremely weak. Because if you walk into detection, you could get Ogre Stun and get bursted, and you don't want to try to fight like a full engagement like that. But you can easily TP to a lane and try to counter gank. He definitely does well in those situations.
Mid lane, they're going to go in on the Wind Ranger again for the second time. Viper Strike to follow. There's no Wind Run available for this Wind Ranger. She goes down again. And again, this Ogre Magi, it's being very impactful on the mid lane for the side of Empire.
Yeah, they're really punishing this middle lane and realizing that because Vega have 2-1-2 and Empire have a defensive tri-lane, it means that there's more likelihood of rotations coming out from Empire. And it doesn't seem like Vega have been able to react too well to that. And as soon as the rotations start coming out, like Silent hasn't really been contested anyway, but it just means that the two supports are able to do whatever they want. Like they can go gank mid, they can go try to gank top with the Lone Druid. Even Silent could carry a TP and try to fight because he has Call Down and 3 points into his Rocket Barrage. So everyone on the side of Empire actually contributes a great deal to an engagement, maybe outside of the Lone Druid. And if he gets a lucky root, he's still pretty much done his job. So Empire definitely capable of fighting in the early game here, and Vega may be struggling a bit during this laning phase, as their queen is still sitting at 11 CS, and the Lone Druid has now doubled her up, so he's sitting on like 24. He even got phase boots on his bear, so yeah, he's actually doing fine.
I mean, the Weaver, in terms of item builds, what we're seeing so far being picked up by 9 Pasha. He's got the treads into the Aquila. Obviously, as a Weaver, there's a lot of different options you can go for. Obviously, with the treads and Aquila picked up, it's unlikely he's going to go for the Midas build, but what do you feel Pasha could go for? Can he afford to go offensive items, or does he need to go back and pick up something like a Lincoln Sphere? I guess with a Ring of Health, possibly that.
He bought a Ring of Health, so I'm guessing it will be Lincoln's at the very least, and geez, that bear does lots of damage. I mean, he just got hit like once or twice. Now he's sitting at around half HP. But this is one of the inherent problems with Weaver in general is in lane, he's very bad against tanky stuff. And the bear is pretty darn tanky. So he can't really Shikuchi and look to effectively trade here anymore. It's just going to be the Lone Druid who's going to dominate the lane. And I really do think that Vega are just going to start going for like YOLO plays. They'll just like put a TP on the Weaver and just start trying to fight. Because that's way better than trying to trade off farm.
Regeneration.
Ivan having a very good time indeed on this top lane, and indeed just looking at individuals' net worth so far, we've got the Viper and the Gyro on 4.6 and 4.3 respectively, and then the next highest on the board is your Weaver, but 3.8k is a little bit behind.
Look at this jungle. There's just stacks everywhere.
Oh man, it's Silence going to get very big very quickly, and with the Blade of Alacrity and 1k gold, he's got enough to get his Yasha onto him as well.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's even dropping his Aquila for health potion efficiency. What a player. Getting everything out of his salve there.
Oh, they might be able to find Visage. They're coming in with the Tombstone. Mag blink forward, but now with the Soul Assumption and the Rocket Barrage, they lose the Quap. Then with the Telekinesis onto Silent, holding him by this Tombstone. He pops up the Rocket Barrage again. He's trying to get away. He might fall as well with the Zombie Chase down. There's your stun from Aloha Dance, trying to help the Gyro turn it around. He will. It's a double kill for Silent. He just get taken down by the final touch from Seema the Slayer. Now, what's he stolen? He's stolen the stun, but he can't
How
get
did that shackle hit the range creep? What in the heck is wrong with that ability? That was so weird. All right, anyway. The trade might get Aloha Dance here too, actually.
That's been pretty good so far. They got 2, and now they're going to get 3. That was, the Gyro.
Oh, he could have TP'd, actually. I think
the Visage and the Ogre, but they're going to lose Rubik. Yeah, indeed. As Resolution might find Windranger here. As Windranger just kind of walks into him. There's the slow from the Viper Strike. She has managed to get off the wind run, but with the vision from the familiar birds, he'll easily be able to chase this one down. There's nowhere for the Windranger to run, and she will go down as well. So Empire, they do lose quite a bit there in that engagement, but at least Resolution is able to come there for the team and kind of clean up.
Yeah, they'll probably pressure this tower a tiny bit. I don't think they'll get it, but they got 3 heroes down here, so. And in the meantime, it's just top lane, bear farming away. The Weaver's still kind of keeping up in his overall farm, but he's going to have to time-lapse here. Too many entangles. And this is kind of the problem, is like Weaver has to use so much mana to lane against Lone Druid, because every time he puts his bear on you, you instinctively want to run away, because you don't want to trade with the bear. It just makes no sense. Like, you'll never be able to kill it as a solo Weaver anyway. So yeah, still kind of struggling here. Vega trying to find their foothold in the game, and they're going to TP the Windranger bottom again, so maybe they're looking to try to take a fight, but that power shot pretty much just gives away that he's here. So now everyone in Empire just decide to back off, and they take the better trade in terms of getting hero kills. Their Ogre's soaking mid, so he's close to level 6. And Silent just farms the woods.
There's going to be a TP from Resolution here up to the top lane. And with the Lone Druid, Pasha hasn't got time that's available again, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful. And will TP out bottom lane. The aggression came from the rest of the side of the Vega, and they do get themselves another kill on the Visage here very nicely.
Yeah, the Visage dying isn't really... It's not a huge problem. Like, this tower will take some damage, and I think with the TPs up top, Empire will likely just go for a trade here. They got Lone Druid Bear, so it shouldn't be a problem to go tier 1 for tier 1. I would say that probably favors Vega, though, because they're the team, I think, who are having a harder time finding anything in this game. They will smoke, but the only person they can find at all is Silent. So he's still farming away in the woods, but I think he'll probably just back. Aloha Dance might, or excuse me, Always Want to Fly might tank the gank again.
Oh, Visage. Indeed, hanging in lane with the familiar. Pings coming out. They're not. Only a couple of them will go ahead that way. Mag and no one. See if they can get initiation with the shackle shot here. Always Want to Fly, staying close to the trees. That's not what you want to be doing when there's a Windranger about. No one, in he comes. Oh, with the night time, he can't quite get the vision. So Visage is going to be alright for the time being, at least mid lane. There's going to be a wrap round onto Solo. In comes a low hard dance. And the Viper and Silent backing it up. The Tombstone will come out, but the cooldown and the multicast. That's a dead Undying. Nice shackle shot on the two of them here. And see with the Slayer with the stolen rocket barrage, trying to do a bit of damage. Nice Sonic Wave onto the 3, but the mech popped by the Viper means he's going to be able to stand strong. It's a killing spree for Resolution as he finds the kill onto the Quap. They do lose the Ogre, but see with the Slayer, he's going to go down as well. It's a double kill. No one, he's already win run, but he's going to be able to keep the distance. Resolution will try and TP out, and he will get away. Bit of a messy fight there, but a 2 for 3 trade overall, just favoring the side of Empire.
He's an absolute beast on this Viper, man. Like, he's got 1,600 health at 14 minutes in. Even with stolen rocket barrage from the Rubik, one of the highest damage dealing spells in the game. Like, that Rubik topped damage for his team in that fight. That's how impactful he was. And he even stole, I think he had Viper Strike from earlier and then like stole rocket barrage after or something like that. Or maybe he stole the Viper Strike after, who knows. But either way, he had both, and he still couldn't kill the Viper, even after it was like a 3v1.
Ooh, no one here with a haste rune. Is he going to be able to land the shackle shot onto Ivan? Just pops the focus fire, but Ivan with the ultimate is just going to turn and run.
Root.
That's the bear, and there's your root. Is there any backup coming in? There was a TP in from Ogre, but it looks like no one's going to continue to win run himself out there, and he's going to be okay. But indeed, trying to go aggressive onto Ivan, but doesn't quite have the damage yet with the phase boots and with the gloves of haste. 9Pash has managed to find himself the ultimate orb, so Lincoln Sphere is going to be there fairly shortly. And Viper Strike is stolen by Rubik, but I guess it's kind of easy to steal, but nonetheless.
You kind of can only steal that spell. He can't cast any other abilities.
It's a nice game to play a Rubik when there's a Viper in it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, being able to cast it even on BKB targets is nice, because you kind of kite them out through their BKB. And it helps with the Weaver being able to have some impact here. But yeah, Pasha going the Linken's build, it's going to be a long time before he really is that much of a threat, even if he's hard to kill. So I think Vega are going to need to try to find a way to buy themselves some time. I don't know if Empire are going to give him that time, though.
No. Pash is going to get rooted. He's got the backup of Steam of the Slayer. He will time that to lift up the bear. They're looking for the bear itself to try and get themselves a little bit of bounty and damage. And well, Ivan, he might be in trouble now, getting very low in the tree lines. Will fall. Visage TP's in, throws down the Solar Submission and the Grave Chill onto Steam of the Slayer. Steam of the Slayer turns around with the Fate Bolt. Will go down to the Familiars. But 9Pasha might be able to clean up Visage here. Visage here with the Jukes through the trees. And looks like 9Pasha is just going to back himself up. Bottom lane, a low hard dance. He goes in deep. And he comes out alive. He's able to TP himself out of that one, but a 1-for-1 trade there going on, of course, on the top lane.
Man, it sucks so bad that when you steal birds with Rubik, they die when you die, instead of like staying around.
Yeah, that
is very unfortunate. Otherwise, it would have been really cool to watch a Rubik with birds, because you can like lift at the bird stun. It's actually very good to be able to steal familiars, and nice heads up play there. Being able to get it, not being able to live through, kind of sucked for him, but. Still, Empire have a pretty substantial lead at just 16, 17 minutes in. They've accrued like a 5,000 experience and gold advantage. And that's just because of their superior laning, I think.
It's going to be a wraparound on the mid lane, and with the stun from a low hard dance, can they find the control? I think they might have the damage over time. Oh, there's going to be a soul rip that was stolen by Seema. And that's actually going to be enough. No, sorry, not stolen, it was just the Undying. Well, I don't know what about there, but they were able to keep her alive with the soul rip.
How could you know that he was standing there? The odds, actually the odds were pretty good because they have pretty good warding and they see both top and bottom lanes, so there was actually a pretty high chance that he was there. Still unfortunate, Empire not able to get the kill. I'm wondering which one of these teams is actually going to try to go for Roshan first. I guess you kind of need a pick right now, and that's what Vega are looking for.
Ooh, indeed, they're all smoking up here, going for the lone druid. No one, he's going to be able to find the shackle shot. Oh, wait, did he get duped off by the ultimate? No, he didn't. No, he's dead.
He's super dead.
Tombstone and all came down onto him there.
Well, I mean, they are trying to counter push at least. Like when they lose a hero, Empire are always trying to do something. They're never really sitting in a spot on their own side of the map when a teammate gets ganked. They're always pressuring lanes, they're always trying to push towers. Just a hallmark of any experienced team, really.
9Pasha, he's nearly over this defensive period of the game. He needs to pick up that final 70 or so gold for the Void Stone, as he's got the recipe on the courier, so.
The Linken's still... I mean, it's a good Linken's timing, don't get me wrong. The Silent is still farming faster than him. Like, he's got a third more CS. He's got SNY, Dominator, Aquila Phase. This Weaver still needs like another item on top of Linken's to really come into his own. Maybe he goes Deso, because the new Deso is quite a bit cheaper. So they reduced the cost by 600, I think.
Yeah,
the recipe used to be 900, now it's 300. So maybe he goes Deso and just tries to fight with that. Or maybe he just goes for like the super late game oriented where he just makes like even Maelstrom just to push lanes out and just becomes the rat. There's a lot of options for him. Just depends on how Vega want to try to play around the Empire's draft. Because Empire still hasn't pushed into tier 2 territory, and they don't feel safe doing Roshan unless they take a fight first. So I don't really think Vega are under a tremendous amount of pressure right now, because they're not playing against a Beastmaster, more or less.
Yes, indeed, yeah. There's certainly not that element of the game that they've had, well, the sides have had to worry about before. Bottom lane, the Lone Druid sitting on 1,800 gold. Now, at this point, do you just go for the Radiance on the bear?
I think Radiance is probably one of the better choices. I mean, if you're saving up this much money, you would have probably already bought Mask of Madness because you have enough if that's what you were going to go. It could also be Maelstrom, but they're just going to do Roshan right now. They got Lone Druid Bear, they got Medallion.
Oh, there's going to be a smoke coming in from Vega. Can they do anything to contest it? Shackle shot onto Lohar does, but it won't latch. Roshan will go down. LD's picked up the Aegis. Here's your cooldown onto 3. Seema the Slayer goes down. No one will fall as well. And dying on the high ground, getting poison attack down. It's a triple kill for Silent. It's only the Weaver that's left alive as 4 heroes have died on the side of Vega. They did find a Lohar dance on the Ogre, but that was not a fight that Vega were looking to take there.
Man, that was a really weird series of events. Like, Empire just casually walk to Roshan. They go into the Roshan pit. Vega obviously knew what was going on. They choose to engage after Roshan had died. That was a pretty interesting choice. Like, just not backing off. Like, usually when teams see Roshan die and they haven't fully committed to a fight, they just say, okay, we'll back. Now Pasha going for the Lone Druid here. He's doing a decent amount of damage. Might be able to burn the Aegis.
That is, he can go for it. He's got the time lapse as well. Has he got the root. Oh.
Denied.
Loja is going to be A-okay for the time being. But, I mean, yeah, after that fight, Silent now on 11,000 gold. He's got 2.2k on top of the phase, Aquila, Helm, S and Whites. And now with the ultimate onto Solo, the Undying. It's not been an Undying game, has it?
No, not really. And it seems that Empire had an answer for that hero from stage 1. Like, to me, first picking the Gyro shows that you understand perfectly how that hero works. Like, not just because of the simple fact that Flat Cannon counters the Undying, but you also pick Ogre and Visage into it. So you have 2 heroes that are moderately tanky, and then 1 who can help you burst the Undying down, who doesn't really have to be a tank because you already have 2 pretty good frontliners and just having Gyro and having Ogre. So that lane, the dual off lane, didn't really get anything done. It got some EXP, sure, but the Undying was never able to walk into a team fight and feel, oh, well, I'm just going to kill everyone because there's a tombstone here and I get a decay. They don't have those squishy supports on Empire. All of their heroes are beefy. How do you kill anyone?
I mean, look at the power of this push. They take the tier 2 and they might even look for more here as they send the bear to the high ground. Certainly looks like they're going to try and take for a tier 3 here. Can Vega do anything to stop this push? They're all positioned here on the sidelines, on the high ground. Shackle Shot will come out, will latch Resolution to an illusion of himself. Power Shot will finish off the bear. Pasha's going to get stunned up here by the Ogre now with the Familiars, does the Viper Strike flying through. That's your Weaver dead. No chance for a time lapse with the control there from the Familiars. And now you're called down onto 4. Smack throws a Sonic Wave back, but it's not going to do anything to stop Empire from going up to the high ground. No one trying to get the hits in here with the Maelstrom, but he takes a Viper Strike to the face. And now Resolution going in with the poison attacks. Wind Range is in a lot of trouble. Just get a nice Shackle Shot onto the Viper. And Silent Scream of Pain bringing Viper low. Will be able to kill Resolution here. So they do manage to kill the Viper, but they lose their tier 3 and they lose a Rubik and a Weaver in the process.
I think that Shackle actually just saved their barracks. Like, if that Shackle didn't land, the Viper would have been at, like, still half HP or something like that. They might have at least gotten range racks, and no one had buyback on Vega. So there was a pretty good chance that they could have gone more out of that, but a little bit greedy, maybe, from Resolution walking into high ground that way, getting the Shackle and then dying shortly thereafter. So nice for Vega to defend their base. They lose a tier 3. But that was fighting into an Aegis as well. So, I mean, the Lone Druid didn't lose it, but it could have gone worse.
Well, we see now Resolution. He's able to pick himself up an Ultimate Orb now on top of the completed Aghanims. And talking about Aghanims, Aghanims also complete for Visage now.
Oh, Jesus.
So 23 minutes in. This has been pretty nice timing for the old Visage. It's 18 to 10. We were having a look at the net worth graphs earlier and we see it's over 10,000. The lead's coming out. It's 12k in terms of net worth and it's 10,000 HP. Vega going to need something pretty spectacular to bring themselves back from this. And the Lohar dance. Wow, he's finished himself off a Glimmer Cape here on the Ogre.
Yeah, well, Glimmer Cape on Ogre has actually been interesting because he doesn't have a Soul Ring. And he doesn't have arcanes, but he does have a bottle, so maybe that's why. Because normally, like, Ogre's mana pool is not great.
Oh, with the root.
Oh, that is super unfortunate.
Oh.
I mean, what else can you say, right?
Yeah.
And when you die like that, it's just
unfortunate. It's RNG.
It's just unfortunate. But I don't know if Vega are going to be able to stop this. This is really scary. Like, even 24 minutes in, their team is actually, like, undying proof. Like, no one is scared of a zombie or two on Empire's team. Like, maybe the Visage is the one hero who might be a little bit susceptible, but even he's got an Aghanims.
Oh, and the multicast come out onto Solo. Viper Strike and Cooldown flying through onto all two of them. Solo will fall here on the Undying. Corpse still down for 5 seconds. Half the racks down in the mid lane. Very shortly going to be the entirety of the racks going down. The bear does get shackled to Viper. But yes, that's going to be your racks going very low. Fortification comes out. Will Vega be able to do anything in response to this? Looks like not for the time being. Just looking for a bit of split push. 9 Pasha on the Weaver did manage to find himself a tier 2. And indeed now, with the workings and the makings of a Desolator, the second Mithril Hammer picked up. And as you were saying earlier, if they want to go for the rat game, the Weaver with a Deso is certainly going to be able to do that. But at the same time, 25 minutes in, your Lone Druid has now got his Radiance.
And that's an offlaner as well. That was against a support and a safe lane farmer too. And it's not really like Weaver as a pushover in lane. Like, unless you're pooled sentries, a Lone Druid can actually struggle a bit. But yeah, this is not the game for Vega. Like, everything to snowball out of control after the Roshan fight. Pasha will be able to get away here due to his Lincolns, but he gets the dragon.
There's backup coming in from the side of Empire. Yeah, he's going to be okay with the Shikuchi by the looks of it.
Yeah, but I don't know, this kind of feels like an outdraft, like, at this point in the game. Like, in the beginning, I didn't think it was really that big of an outdraft, but Empire, like, that Undying has been a non-factor. We were talking about how strong it is. Empire is showing how weak it can be.
I mean, do you feel it was a laning issue then at the start, where Vega's lanes just kind of not what they patched up to be in terms of what they were hoping to match up against on Empire?
Their heroes, I don't think, were that unpredictable. Like, Empire had a pretty distinct game plan. Like, they were never really going to go aggressive with those heroes.
No.
Like, you could, but there's no reason to. Because you know that if Vega pick Undying early, they're the ones who want to go aggressive. So why would you go aggro and give yourself less to work with? Because if you expect to win that lane, then you can just pull, win your lane, and get more experience on your supports. So from their perspective, it's like, yeah, okay, we'll just do that. So I think that's easy to predict. And the Viper mid, yeah, as you saw a 4th pick, obvious it's going to be a Viper mid. And that only leaves one place for the Lone Druid to go, and that's off lane. So even with Uva not getting that much farm, it's like, it doesn't matter, because the rest of the team is just so durable that the Undying Tombstone never really comes into play. The Lone Druid smashes it anyway in like 2 seconds. You got Bloodlusted Bear and Bloodlusted Gyro. You have very good push because of Visage. I just think that Empire just continually draft a totally balanced team, and it always seems to work for them.
There we go, they're going to go for the second set of tier 3s and racks here. Undying, just throw down the Tombstone, but Viper Strike onto your Wind Ranger, and the Familiar Stuns holding both the Undying and the Wind Ranger under the cooldown. That's 2 heroes down. It's going to be GG well played as Seema will fall. Mag is able to blink away, but I don't know, man. 3 games today, Empire taking 2, of course, against the side of basically Unknown, and now the first game of this Game of 2 series. A game against Vega. Empire, I don't think anyone doubted it, but they're looking very strong.
I gotta say, their drafting has impressed me the most. It always feels like at some stage in the game, the other team just can't do anything. It doesn't matter if they get their hands on Beastmaster, they seem to have figured out a style that works extremely well for them and also counters a lot of what people are trying to do.
Yeah.
So maybe teams need to just study Empire and be like, how do we outdraft Empire? Because like so far, I mean, I haven't seen much of 6.84.
No,
because it's like not even a week old.
Then again, who has it?
Yeah, but
exactly,
that's what I mean. Like, their adaptation is really strong, and I feel like this is a style that they're also comfortable with. So it's very tough to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels so far that this, not that 6.83 was an Empire's patch because they had a lot of success there. It looks like with this transition to a new patch, they're not having as many issues as some of the other teams that we've seen playing and in terms of drafting as well. But indeed, first game of the second series there, Empire get themselves another victory in the bag, a 3rd win of the day. But of course, there's one more match coming up later, the second of this series between the sides of Empire and Vega Squadron. And we'll join you for that as soon as we can get ourselves into Game 2. But first of all, for a little commercial break and then over to our host to hear what they had to say about Game 1. We'll see you guys in a bit.